In this module, we'll take a look at some of the findings of variation research studies in world Englishes. There is a substantial body of research on the morphology and syntax of different varieties. These varieties include Indian English, Pakistani English, Malaysian English, so on and so forth. We'll take a look at findings which have been collected from different research studies. So we'll only look at the findings which show how one variety is different from the other variety. The research shows that one way in which the varieties differ from each other, especially the outer and expanding circle varieties differ from the native English varieties, is the use of progressive with completed actions. In British Standard English, what we normally hear is, I do it often. However, we often hear in Indian English and also Pakistani English is a sentence like, I'm doing it often. So we use present continuous tense in the outer circle English, even with habitual actions. Although what the rule says is we use simple present tense to talk about habitual actions. Similarly, where have you come from? To talk about a completed action, but in outer circle Englishes, we often hear sentences like these, which is an example from Indian English, where are you coming from? Another research finding is that the use of the progressive aspect with stative verbs is a feature of outer circle varieties of English. Stative verbs are verbs which indicate relatively permanent physical or psychological states or mental perceptions. They do not show physical action. For example, they are different from words which involve physical movements like run, eat, walk. All these are non-stative verbs because they involve physical action. The verbs which are considered stative in standard English but are used in progressive form, present continuous form, in outer and expanding circle countries include verbs like see, hear, think, feel. So all these verbs which are stative verbs are used in the progressive aspect in outer circle varieties of English. So we often hear a sentence like, I'm seeing the sky from here in British English, in Indian English, in Malaysian English, in Bangladeshi English. Similarly, they were having a horse. We keep hearing a sentence like this around us as well. I'm having a headache, I'm having a car, etc. Similarly, I'm hearing you, you're loud and clear. It's costing a lot these days. So all these stative verbs are used in the present continuous form in outer circle Englishes. That is what the variation studies, the variation research studies tell us. One of the reasons for the use of progressive aspect with stative verbs perhaps is the influence of the use of local languages, the influence of the local languages on the use of English in the outer circle countries. Because according to Khajru, the Hindi-Urdu verb sunna and dekhna, to hear and to see, are used in the progressive in Hindi and Urdu. Perhaps this use transfers to the learners or the outer circle speakers of English, and it is transferred to their use of English as well. Another finding of variation study research shows that often in the outer circle Englishes, a preposition is unnecessarily added with the verb. So we have sentences like, I need to fill up the form for my admission, so fill up the form. Similarly, and this is so common and it troubles me so much, I can't cope up with this situation. So everybody speaking English in Pakistan, in India, etc., they would say cope up and not just cope. Similarly, we need to combat against poverty, although only combat is more than enough. So we see that research on variation in different varieties of English makes these interesting findings, which can add a substantial body of knowledge to the field of world Englishes and make it enriched and strengthen this field.